Hi, kids. Okay, greatest films of all time. Number 39, Lawrence of Arabia from 1962, directed by David Lean, starring Peter, Peter O'Toole, Alec Guinness, Anthony Quinn, Omar Sharif, Claude Rains, many other faces. A lot of pasty English white guys, mostly portraying pasty English white guys. Some of the other people of different ethnicities, such as Anthony Quinn, I believe he was Mexican American, portraying different ethnicities than he was, Egyptians. Some casting that maybe, probably wouldn't fly today. The production was trying to be as respectful as possible to the culture it is portraying. But again, there's some casting looking at you, Alec Guinness, that would not fly for most people today. I have to point that out, say that. You can think of it whatever you will. I'm not telling you what to think. So, what is Lawrence of Arabia? It is based on the Seven Pillars of Wisdom by T.E. Lawrence, Thomas Edward, I believe. Lawrence. We'll get to the Lawrence part later. Um, he wrote in 1922, wasn't published till 1926, based on his journals and his life experiences. Um, it's dedicated to Salim Ahmed. Salim Ahmed was a teenage boy that Lawrence maybe had a crush on, didn't have a physical relationship with, but maybe had a crush on Salim. So, um, Lawrence of Arabia story, something that studios have been trying or had been trying to adapt, produce for quite some time. Around the time that David Lean and producer Sam Spiegel, they were also the two duo that made Bridge on the River Kwai. Um, they're trying to work on another project. Around this time, there is a play, I believe, about T.E. Lawrence that is diving more into the possible homosexual element of his life. Um, so they shift gears, and David Lean wants to work on a Gandhi biopic because there's nothing creepy or weird about Gandhi's sex life. Anyways, uh, so they go around working on that and eventually circle back to obviously Lawrence of Arabia. Michael Wilson is the writer that is hired to write the screenplay. Michael Wilson's other credits or uncredited, he worked on It's a Wonderful Life. He was also a writer on Bridge on the River Kwai, I believe also uncredited. That's a whole nother story. Um, and Planet of the Apes. Um, which are both Planet of the Apes and Bridge on the River Kwai. I didn't mention in the Bridge on the River Kwai film video, written by the same Frenchman. Um, anyways, so Wilson starts writing this, and he is basing it not as much on Seven Pillars of Wisdom as he is on the historical event that it surrounds. So let's get into our history lesson. The Ottoman Empire. Uh, the empire that lasted for what, 600 years, all over regions from North Africa up around Europe, into around France, Italy, different regions at different times. Um, Quite the empire, made advancements in art and poetry and medicine, uh, early forms of vaccinations, smallpox vaccine, due to the Ottoman Empire, and of course, famously for having a place to put your feet. Ottoman Empire. That's what they're known for. So, Ottoman Empire, slowly through time, empires can't last, uh, begins to decline, begins to shrink, which leads into the Balkan Wars. So, Balkan Wars was the Ottomans and the Albanians versus Bulgaria, Serbia, and Greece and Montenegro. Greece had just kind of claimed independence from the Ottoman Empire, made themselves their own country. So, spreading like wildfire through these regions. Everybody's trying to take their countries back, maybe. So that's the first Balkan War. Second Balkan War is Bulgaria versus Serbia, Romania, Greece, Montenegro, and the Ottoman Empire. So due to that, Serbia is wanting to sort of join their compatriots, their fellow people that are in parts of Austria-Hungary. So that's causing some conflict there. Austria-Hungary going through some things. This isn't quite a history video, so we won't go too far into it. But that leads to the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, which leads to World War I. So Ottoman Empire, Balkan War, World War I, it all bleeds together. And then it leads to Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia is a long film, so this is going to be a long video. So, Spiegel and Lean, not too happy with just sort of the history focus of what Michael Wilson writes. So they bring in another writer, that's Robert Bolt, and they want it to be more of a character study, like Bridge on the River Kwai, based on historical events, but mainly using that historical event as a backdrop for a character study to insert themes into to tell a broader story. So Bolt comes in, does another draft. Bolt also works with Lean on Dr. Zhivago. And he focuses more on T.E. Lawrence. So T.E. Lawrence was the second son of five, and Lawrence wasn't actually his last name. So his father was, I believe, Irish, maybe English. Anyways, his father was sort of a higher ranking individual of some money, of a family, a baron, who sort of was married, had a wife and some daughters, and got into a relationship with the maid and ran off with her. His wife refused to divorce him, so his new wife, the maid, and he just sort of changed their last name and decided on Lawrence, which maybe was the maid's, I think, maternal grandfather's last name. Anyways, so they changed their name to Lawrence, and they move around so nobody knows who they are, and they have five sons, and one of them is T.E. T.E., the runt of the litter, knows, suspects during his life that something's off about his family. He thinks that his father is not his biological father, it's just a man raising him. He doesn't find out the truth until during this period that the film takes place, the Spanish flu pandemic, 1918. His father dies of Spanish flu, and his father leaves a letter basically saying, sorry, this is who you are, this is what happened. So he finds out later. I think two of his brothers also die during World War One. Lawrence of Arabia. So Lawrence was, as a young boy, interested in archaeology, interested in Arabian culture, languages. So he had those interests. He joins the military, and he is put into the Arab Division, I believe it is called, the Arab Bureau. Sorry. So he joins the Arab Bureau, and he becomes part of the Arab Revolt. Man, this is So basically, post-colonialism, everybody's taking their countries back, but countries like England and France and Italy and Germany and Russia all have a vested interest on what's happening in this region, in these countries. They want to get what they can out of it. And sort of people side with each other based on their enemies siding with them. So the Arab Revolt was sort of the English backed it and said, "Hey, we'll help you have a unified Arab country of your own." Um, so they were doing that, but of course they had a vested interest, and they had no means of actually giving the Arabs their own sort of power country without um, some English oversight. So if you go back and watch the Battle of Algiers video, it's much like that. Um, but at first, TE doesn't know this. He doesn't know that the British are only pretending to help the Arabs, sort of clearing the land for themselves, making these people fight against each other. He generally thinks that he's helping the Arabs take their region back. So, yeah, so the British, following this, following the war, getting into the history again, they mandate territories. Um, at some point during this, there was promised that there would be a Jewish national home in Palestine. So, the end of the war, TE is brought in to help sort out where everything lies. And the British and the Italians, these countries, they kind of purposely uh, draw regions, draw borders, put people together of different clans, different religions that don't get along on purpose. So they cause an unstable countries. So all the destabilization, everything that's happening in countries like Turkey and Armenia, things like that, Iraq, is was done on purpose. So people were put into areas with their enemies, with those people that they had clashed with on purpose. People who fought in the war versus people who didn't. It's very complicated. Um, History is important. Anyways, let's talk about the film a little bit. So, the film was shot on location, took 17 months. Those desert shots, they would have your camel coming across the desert, and then they'd have to clear the shot and sweep all the sand and get rid of the footprints and do take two. So, it took a long time to film this. Um, They used Super Panavision lenses for that those very wide shots. The editor of this film, sorry, I'm running out of steam. I'm almost 15 minutes in. Anne B. Coates is notable. She is the editor of this film. She also edited Elephant Man, In the Line of Fire, Out of Sight. Um, the most famous cut in this film is probably the match cut, right? The match dissolving into the sun in the desert. Something that John Wick 4, seen John Wick 4? It just lifts outright for that. So the match cut, Anne Coates was influenced by the editing that was going on in the French New Wave in the 50s in this time. She told Lean, we got to do something like that. We got to do something bold. So, Andy Coates. There we go. Anyways, after 15 minutes, why is Lawrence of Arabia number 39 on this list? AFI 98, it is number 5 greatest films of all time. 2007, it is number 7 on their greatest films of all time. IMDb, your user ranked list, according to you, it is the 96th greatest film of all time. BFI in 2012, the critics had it number 81. the directors at 48. And this last year, 2022, critics did not have it on its list, but it was on number 62 on the directors list. So that all those lists combined put it at number 39 on this list. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you very much. Like, subscribe,